I walked out of my own launch party after my girlfriend invited her ex despite my objections. Now she's calling me psychotic. So I'm an architect and I've spent the last 8 months building a custom smart home automation system I call KOVA. Not just your basic Alexa setup. I'm talking integrated lighting choreography, scent diffusion timed to circadian rhythms, dynamic digital art galleries that respond to room occupancy, the whole 9 yards. This was supposed to be my passion project showcase before I pitch it to potential investors. My girlfriend Marissa is a freelance makeup artist. She's talented, charismatic, lives entirely by intuition and emotion. We've been together for 2 years. Opposites attract, right? She tells me I need to loosen up. I tell her she needs structure. It's worked mostly. 3 weeks ago, she mentioned that her ex Damien is passing through town. Damien is this drifter artist type who she dated for 4 years before me. She describes him as her soulmate who couldn't commit. Red flag, I know, but whatever, people have pasts. Then she dropped this. I invited him to your party. I said no, not aggressively, just clearly. I'm not comfortable with that. This is a professional thing for me, not a social mixer. I prefer your ex-boyfriend not come. She laughed. Jacob, come on. You're being insecure, he's just a friend now. I repeated myself. I understand that's how you see it, I'm still not comfortable. That's when her whole energy shifted. She got quiet, then looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before. Cold, calculating. Listen, she said. I'm not asking permission. I'm telling you he's coming because I already invited him and he's flying in specifically for this. Be cool about this or we have a much bigger problem, your choice. I just stared at her. This wasn't about Damien anymore. This was a test. She was literally telling me accept being disrespected in my own home at my own event or lose the relationship. Then I smiled. Okay, you're right, I'll be very cool about it. She brightened immediately, kissed me, told me she knew I'd understand. Here's the thing though, I meant what I said. I was going to be extremely cool about it, just not in the way she expected. The party was Friday night. 50 people invited, my whole architecture firm, some tech investors' friends. KOVA performed flawlessly. Adaptive lighting that shifted from warm amber during arrivals to cool blue as evening progressed. Digital galleries rotating between my architectural renders and abstract generative art. My vintage bourbon collection was a hit. Everyone was impressed. Marissa was in her element, working the room, getting compliments on her event. Around 9 p.m. Damien arrived, exactly as I'd pictured him. Vintage band shirt, expensive distressed jeans, the kind of deliberately unkempt hair that takes 30 minutes to style. He hugged Marissa for way too long while making prolonged eye contact with me over her shoulder. I walked up, extended my hand. Damien, thanks for coming. Marissa's been excited to see you. He seemed surprised I was being friendly. Yeah man, this setup is incredible. You did all this. I did. Then I turned to Marissa. So now he's here, I'm done, have fun. Marissa looked confused. What? I grabbed my jacket from the bedroom, walked to the elevator. Jacob, where are you going? Marissa started to walk toward me, but the elevator doors were already closing. I pulled out my phone and opened the KOVA control app. I tapped one command, reset to null. As the elevator descended, I watched the building's status in real time. Every smart bulb in my apartment switched from carefully programmed ambience to maximum brightness, hospital white, all at once. The audio system cut to complete silence. The smart locks disengaged from the network. The Wi-Fi hub that controlled everything entered maintenance mode, killing internet access for every device in range. My apartment went from sophisticated tech showcase to sterile, silent white box in under 5 seconds. My phone started blowing up before I even got to the parking garage. Marissa, 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 I silenced it. I got to a bar 3 blocks away. I had 17 missed calls. Finally answered the 18th. What the hell did you do? She was screaming. I could hear confused voices in the background, someone asking if there was a power outage. You told me to be cool about it or we'd have a bigger problem, I said, completely calm. So I picked bigger problem. You sabotaged your own party, everyone's leaving, you look completely insane. No, you invited someone I explicitly asked you not to invite to an event I organized in my apartment after threatening our relationship if I objected. I removed myself from a situation I didn't consent to. That's not sabotage. That's a boundary. This is psychotic. You can't just, I can, I did. And we're done, Marissa, completely done. Don't call me again. I blocked her number. I'm staying at my friend Mike's place now. I don't regret what I did, but her family is blowing up my social media calling me abusive and unstable. Her mother left me a voicemail saying I humiliated her daughter in front of important people and that real men don't throw tantrums. Reddit, do you guys think I overreacted? Or did I finally enforce a boundary that should have been non-negotiable from the start? Edit, holy shit, this blew up. Reading all the comments now. A lot of you are asking about the apartment situation. Yes, it's my lease, only my name. Marissa moved in about 6 months ago but pays me monthly rent in cash, not on any official sublease. And yes, I'm realizing now that was probably strategic on her part. Update 1. So here's what's happened since Friday night. Saturday morning, I went to a UPS store and sent Marissa a formal 30-day notice to vacate. Certified mail, signature required. Completely legal. I consulted with a tenant rights attorney on Friday. In our city, even without a formal lease, if someone's been living somewhere for over 30 days, you have to give notice, so I gave notice. The letter was polite and clear. Our relationship is over. You have 30 days to find a new place. I'll be staying elsewhere during this time. Here are the relevant tenant codes. Here's my attorney's contact information if you have questions. She signed for it Saturday afternoon, called me immediately from a number I didn't recognize. You're actually evicting me. I'm giving you legal notice to vacate after ending our relationship. That's not eviction, that's standard procedure. Over one party, you're throwing away 2 years because you couldn't handle me having a friend over. Marissa. You gave me an ultimatum, accept your ex at my event or end the relationship. Those were your exact terms. I chose option 2. Now you have 30 days. She hung up. Then her mom called, then her sister. I didn't answer. Here's where it gets interesting. Sunday, Mike drove me back to the apartment to get my work equipment. I figured I'd grab them while she was at her mom's, be in and out in an hour. The door was unlocked, music playing. I walked in and Damien was on my couch, drinking my bourbon from my vintage Glencairn glass. He looked up startled. Oh, hey man. I didn't say anything, just stared at him. Mike behind me went, you've got to be kidding me. Damien stood up, at least had the sense to look uncomfortable. Look, Marissa's really upset. She just needed some support and is your name on the lease? I asked. What? Is your name on the rental agreement for this apartment? No, but then you're trespassing. You have 60 seconds to leave before I call the police. Marissa came out of the bedroom. You can't kick him out, he's my guest. You're not a tenant, you don't have guest privileges. I pulled out my phone. 50 seconds. Damien grabbed his jacket and was out the door in 30. Marissa started crying. I started unplugging my server rack. Mike was already disconnecting the espresso machine. You're taking your toys and leaving, she laughed, but it sounded frantic. This is what emotionally healthy people do. Emotionally healthy people remove their property from situations where their boundaries have been violated, I said. I was detaching my main monitor. You can use the regular apartment Wi-Fi. The KOVA system will be gone by tonight. We loaded everything into Mike's truck. 3 trips. The server rack, the custom control tablets, all my smart bulbs and sensors, the espresso machine, 20 bottles of good bourbon, my architectural models. I photographed everything as we removed it, timestamps on. Marissa watched the whole thing. At some point, she stopped arguing and just stood there. As we were leaving with the last load, she said, "You're going to regret this. You're destroying the best thing that ever happened to you over your pride." No, I said. You destroyed it by testing if I'd let you disrespect me. I just called your bluff. Monday she posted on Instagram. Long caption about toxic masculinity and men who can't handle confident women. Didn't name me, but everyone knew. Comments were split, some of her friends agreeing. Some people who were at the party pointing out that she invited her ex after I said no and I just left. Tuesday, her mom somehow got my work email and sent a message to my entire architecture firm saying I abandoned her daughter in an unsafe living situation and that I'm mentally unstable. My boss called me in. I showed him the certified notice, the timeline, the text of Marissa's ultimatum I'd screenshotted. He actually laughed. He told me to keep documenting everything. Said if she keeps contacting my workplace, he'd have to get HR involved with a formal cease and desist. Wednesday, she tried a different angle. Called the building management. Told them I'd abandoned the apartment and left her there without access to essential services. The building manager called me, clearly annoyed at being dragged into personal drama. I emailed him the 30-day notice with delivery confirmation and the timeline. He called me back 20 minutes later. Mr. Clayton, I've spoken with our attorney. You've followed proper procedure. Ms. Campbell has 26 days remaining. If she's not out by then, you'll need to file for unlawful detainer, but that's between you two. We're not getting involved. Apparently, Marissa told him I'd removed essential utilities by taking the KOVA system. He told her the apartment's standard utilities are all functional and that personal electronics don't count as essential services. Last night I drove past the apartment. I don't know why. Lights were on. I could see Damien's silhouette in the window. Honestly, I feel weirdly calm. I've spent 2 years accommodating someone who thought boundaries were obstacles to overcome. The party was just where it became impossible to ignore. She texted me from yet another number tonight. Damien says you're just scared of real emotion, that you're so obsessed with control you can't handle the unpredictability of actual love. He's right, I should have seen it sooner. I didn't respond, but I did save the screenshot. My attorney says keep everything. 26 days left on the notice. I have a feeling this isn't over. Edit. Someone asked if I'm worried about her damaging the apartment. Yes. I documented the condition of everything before I left. Photos, video walkthrough timestamps. Update 2. The 30 days are up. She's still there. What a surprise. So day 31, I filed for unlawful detainer at the county courthouse. In our jurisdiction, this is the formal legal process for removing someone who won't leave after proper notice. My attorney filed all the paperwork. Court date set for 2 weeks out. But here's where it escalated beyond what I expected. The building management had sent their own notice after I filed. A formal warning that she was occupying the unit without being on the lease and that she needed to vacate or they'd take action independent of my case. She responded by claiming domestic partnership rights and saying she'd been paying half the rent for 6 months, which was a lie. She'd been giving me $400 in cash each month toward utilities and groceries, not rent. No receipts, no documentation, just cash in an envelope. I have exactly 0 records of it because it wasn't rent, it was contribution to shared expenses. My attorney loved this. She has no proof of tenancy or payment. This actually makes it easier. Court day arrived. I showed up with my attorney. Marissa showed up with her mother and Damien, no lawyer. The judge asked her for evidence of tenancy. She had nothing, no canceled checks, no lease agreement, no official documents at all, just her name on some mail that had been delivered there. The judge ruled in my favor. 5 days to vacate or the sheriff would remove her. She lost it. Started yelling in the courtroom about how the system protects abusive men and how she was being illegally displaced. The judge told her she was welcome to file a separate civil case, but the order stood. She stormed out crying. Damien tried to approach me in the hallway. Bro, you really going to kick her out on the street? Where's she supposed to go? I looked at him. Maybe the place you're supposed to be living, or did you not actually have an apartment when you passed through town? His face went red. He left. 5 days passed. Nothing from Marissa. No calls, no texts, no social media posts, just silence. Day 5, 3 p.m. The sheriff showed up. I was there with my attorney. Mike came as witnesses. The building manager was there for the property. Marissa answered the door, alone, no Damien in sight. Ma'am, the sheriff said, you have an order for unlawful detainer. You need to vacate the premises immediately. I need more time. I have nowhere to go. My boyfriend left last weekend. The court gave you 5 days. You didn't use them, you need to leave now. So Damien had already bylaid. Of course he had. This wasn't his fight. He'd gotten what he needed, free place to crash for a month, and disappeared the moment legal consequences appeared. Marissa was crying, gathering random items into trash bags. No organization, just grabbing things. No one there to help her. Just her, alone. The sheriff gave her 30 minutes to get essentials. After that, anything remaining would be stored by the building for 15 days, then disposed of. She left with 3 trash bags, her makeup kit, and whatever she could carry alone. I didn't say anything to her, just watched her load her things into her car and drive away. The building manager turned to me. "Let's do a walkthrough now while the sheriff's still here. We need to document the condition for the property records." We went inside. The damage hit me immediately. This wasn't mess. This wasn't clutter. This was deliberate destruction. My hardwood floors had deep gouges scratched into them, the kind you make by dragging something metal with force over and over. The couch I'd left behind had white paint dumped across it in streaks. There were holes punched in the drywall, multiple holes, fist-sized. But the worst part was the gallery screens I'd left mounted because they were built into the wall units. All 4 of them were shattered, not cracked, shattered, like someone had taken a hammer to each one methodically. The sheriff was documenting everything, photos, notes. This is clearly retaliatory destruction. After a court order too, this significantly strengthens any damages case. The building manager was pale. "This is over $8,000 in repairs. The floors alone will need to be refinished. The drywall, the screens." He looked at me. "We're going to have to pursue full restitution. This is beyond any security deposit." I felt nothing. Not shock, not even anger, just this cold, absolute confirmation that I'd made exactly the right choice. The building manager handed me the keys after we finished the walkthrough. "We'll send you our repair assessment within 48 hours. My recommendation is you file in small claims court for the maximum amount as soon as possible." My attorney was already on his phone taking his own photos. This is textbook retaliatory destruction. She was court-ordered to leave, stayed until physically removed, and destroyed property on her way out. She basically handed you evidence of retaliatory destruction. Judges hate that. "We'll file for maximum small claims damages tomorrow morning." I walked through the apartment one more time, my beautiful, carefully designed space that I'd poured 8 months into, ruined deliberately, methodically, out of pure spite. Mike put his hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said, and I meant it. She showed exactly who she is. I just wish I'd seen it sooner. The small claims filing went in the next morning. Maximum amount in our jurisdiction, $10,000. With the building's separate claim for repairs, she's looking at over $15,000 in total damages. Her freelance styling income is about to get garnished for years. I'm staying with Mike until I find a new place. Somewhere without the ghost of this relationship. Somewhere I can rebuild KOVA from scratch without feeling like I'm in a contaminated space. Marissa's Instagram went private. Damien's entire social media disappeared. Her mom's still posting vague posts about narcissistic abusers, but I have everything documented. Screenshots, recordings, legal filings. Court date for small claims is in 3 weeks. My attorney's confident. She has no defense. She was court-ordered to leave, she stayed, she caused damage. Open and shut. I should feel vindicated. Mostly I just feel tired and sad that it had to come to this. But I don't regret leaving that party. I don't regret the 30-day notice. I don't regret any of it. You can't negotiate with someone who sees your boundaries as challenges to overcome. Edit, for everyone asking if I'm worried about retaliation. Yes, my car is parked in a secured garage now. I vary my routine. I documented everything I own. My attorney says stay vigilant but don't be paranoid. The legal system is working. Final update. It's been 6 weeks since the sheriff removed Marissa from the apartment. Time for what I hope is the final chapter of this situation. The small claims hearing happened 2 weeks ago. I showed up with my attorney, printed timeline, photo documentation, sheriff's report, and the building manager's damage assessment. Marissa showed up alone. No Damien, no family, just her, looking exhausted and angry. The judge reviewed everything. The 30-day notice, the unlawful detainer ruling, the sheriff's report, the photos of damage, then asked Marissa for her defense. She tried to argue that the damage was normal wear and tear, and that I was weaponizing the legal system because she stood up to my controlling behavior. The judge cut her off. "Ma'am, gouged hardwood floors and shattered mounted screens are not normal wear and tear. You were court-ordered to vacate and chose to stay and cause deliberate property damage. That's retaliatory destruction." Judgment: $10,000 awarded to me, the maximum small claims allows. Automatic wage garnishment set up through her business accounts. 25% of her freelance income, garnished at source for however long it takes to pay the full amount. Marissa started crying. The judge was unmoved. "You had multiple opportunities to handle this maturely. You chose destruction instead. This is the consequence." The building also won their separate case. Another $5,200 for their repairs and legal fees. She's on the hook for over $15,000 total. And here's the part that's going to follow her: permanent eviction record. Good luck renting anywhere decent in this city with that on your history. After the hearing, I finally got the full story from a mutual friend who stayed in contact with Marissa's circle. Damien never passed through town. He'd been evicted from his place in Portland 2 months before and was couch surfing. Marissa invited him knowing he needed a place to crash. The party invite was testing if I'd let him move into MY apartment. When I walked out instead of playing along, her whole plan collapsed. That's why he was there so fast after I left. That's why she refused to move out. She'd already told him he could stay. I'd been set up to become the financial support for her and her ex. The "be cool about it" ultimatum was literally asking me to accept subsidizing this. I signed a lease on a new apartment last week. Smaller than the old place, but it's mine. Clean slate. The first thing I did was install regular, basic smart lights. Nothing fancy, just simple bulbs that turn on and off. I'm not rebuilding KOVA, not because I'm traumatized or broken, but because that project was about proving something. To myself, to investors, to Marissa, and I don't need to prove anything anymore. My firm's been great. I got assigned to lead a new commercial project. Big budget, full creative control. The kind of work I actually got into architecture for. Mike has been solid throughout this. We've had a lot of late-night conversations about boundaries, about red flags, about the difference between compromise and capitulation. Mike is dealing with his own relationship stuff now and says watching how I handled this gave him a framework for his own situation. From what I've heard, Marissa is living with her mom. Damien disappeared about a week before the eviction, apparently found another situation in Seattle once he realized legal trouble was coming. Her styling business took a hit because word got around about the legal situation, and some clients don't want the drama. The wage garnishment kicked in last week. She'll be paying this off for at least 3 years. Her Instagram is still private. Her mom's still posting about narcissistic abuse and toxic men, but most people stopped engaging. I don't feel vindictive about any of this. I just feel resolved. She made choices. Those choices had consequences. The system worked exactly as it was designed to. I'm not living in a sterile, controlled environment anymore. I'm living in a space with regular lights, basic furniture, and zero emotional landmines. It's simple. It's peaceful. It's mine. I'm done being cool on someone else's terms. From now on, I define what cool means, and it means having standards, having boundaries, and having the backbone to enforce them even when it's uncomfortable. She thought be cool meant be controllable. I showed her that cool can also mean ice cold. Thanks, Reddit. This community helped me see clearly when I was in the middle of chaos. Much appreciated.